Pokemon Champions has been out for a few days, and even though Pokemon like Gholdengo and Calyrex Shadow Rider are not in the game, we now know that their signature moves have been nerfed. According to data mining, Make It Rain is now 95% accurate, so now you have a chance to miss both targets. And Astral Barrage has gone down to 110 base power. They also buffed some signature moves like Triple Dive, so go Wiglet, as it's now 35 base power instead of 30. There's a few other moves to talk about, so let's get right into it. Alright, so we'll be adding on to yesterday's video because there are more signature moves that actually got nerfed, and a good chunk of them. You can see the lineup right here. 5 very oppressive Pokemon. There's more as well as we keep going. And there's also some that even got buffed. As always, let me know your thoughts down below. Check out yesterday's video if you missed the other part of the list, and feel free to subscribe if you want, but no pressure. Anyway, Gholdengo's Make It Rain got a nerf. Just for y'all to know, this was 120 base power, 100% accurate. It is one of the most oppressive Pokemon of all time. This hitting 2 Pokemon at once as well is insane. It's incredibly powerful, and you only lose 1 special attack. People typically used Terra Steel, Make It Rain with Metal Coat. We've used Specs. Honestly, singles and doubles were pretty much using the same moves, abusing Nasty Bond or anything like that. But now it's 95% accurate. So now there's that random chance that you could lose the game that is wrapped up because Make It Rain ends up losing. How do you feel about that? Now, to that, we do have a bunch of very, very strong spread moves that don't target your teammates, like Heat Wave and things like that, that do not have high accuracy. So this is kind of joining that list. And it is a -1 special attack drop as opposed to like Draco Meteor and them, which are -2. So it not having 100% accuracy kind of falls in line with moves like Draco Meteor. I know some VGC players love this because it was very oppressive. I know some would have rather the base power of the move had been weakened over the accuracy. But I do think it's fair that something happened to this either way because it is such, or was such, an oppressive Pokemon. And when it eventually comes in the game, they're just future-proofing for it. And then we have Calyrex Shadow Rider. Astral Barrage 120, 100. I think this is really funny because Calyrex Ice Rider already had a 130 base power Glacial Lance, and that got nerfed to 120. But this homie never had 130. It always had 120. And the fact that this, again, can hit both targets for just basically free is crazy. It is 110 base power now, which is a nice nerf. I'm sure that'll work for some damage calcs, allow you to EV less to avoid being 2-shot by an Astral Barrage prior to it getting its as one boost, its Grimnay boost in special attack. Again, it's another super, super oppressive Pokemon. We do have the Mega Pokemon, the Mega Z Pokemon that are eventually going to be coming to Pokemon Champions, I hope, that obviously outspeed this Pokemon and can deal with it. So I'm sure those will be in the exact same metagame, but this definitely needed a nerf, period. This needed a nerf, and I think the 110 power is the first way to do it. Very similarly, following that trend of just incredible moves from incredible Pokemon, we do have Ursaluna the Blood Moon, who went from 140 base power to 130. This is pretty big. Also, it's going to be even bigger of a nerf when you can eventually play Ursaluna Blood Moon, which is already a pay-to-win mon. When you can eventually play Ursaluna Blood Moon, that it might not even be in a terrestrialized metagame. So it's going to be nerfed even more because a lot of people did do Terra Normal plus their Silk Scarf to throw this off, plus Hyper Voices or Throat Spray, whatever they wanted to do, and just have strong Blood Moons that just did not matter what you switched in because of Mind's Eye, and obviously your Earth Power followed up on Steel types that did resist anyway. This is another great nerf, in my opinion, going for 130 base power. It might not even be enough, to be honest. Maybe 120 might have been good for this Pokemon because Blood Moon's still going to hit hard as hell. And off the top of my head, I still can't think of like any crazy calcs like it can't already OHKO. I think one big change is the Ursaluna Blood Moon into Farigarath interaction. So this was just the standard set from Regulation I for Farigarath, and Life Orb Modest Blood Moon obviously has not terrestrialized here. Does 90 to 106%, and that's at 140 base power. So turning it to 130, it does 98% max. So there's definitely a bunch of other Pokemon where this interaction does matter, but the fact that you can run this standard spread, or at least this spread at the time, this sample spread, and not worry about being OHKO by a modest Life or Blood Moon prior to terrestrialization, because we don't know if Terra's going to be around when Blood Moon ends up being here, is a pretty good one. So I think that's what a nerf should be doing, right? Pokemon that it could previously have a chance to OHKO, it doesn't anymore, or it doesn't 2-KO them as cleanly without investing a significant amount of EVs or sliders, whatever you want to call it now, in Pokemon Champions, or just, boosting items from there. Okay, so I feel like Dracovish kind of is the opposite of that. Like, they nerfed Fish's Run from 85 base power to 80. I'm not gonna lie, when it's still Strong Jaw boosted, when it's still gonna be boosted by maybe the rain support next to it, this might still be crazy. This mon was really nasty in VGC. I know it won in, actually I have it right here, but I remember it won the Melbourne in 2020, Melbourne Regional, or whatever this, international top one. There you go, like finished right here. And it actually had done, well, it only made 5,750, and for Dracovish, I feel like it should have made a little bit more as just a Pokemon. It's just funny to think about a Pokemon making money. Feels like Pokopia. But except there's no money in that world and you're actually saving the world. But anyway, I digress. Very impressive Pokemon, obviously, in singles. Very aggressive. Early meta of VGC. Sword and Shield was impressive as well, or at least very, very good. I would say in the top 10. Wolf is, classed it as Mr. Fish. And a good nerf. This is going to be one of the mons, though, that I don't know if this is going to move the needle enough on the damage calc at all. Like, this mon's not going to be allowed in singles, right? At least 6v6 singles. And we'll see how it does in VGC now that this is 5 base power lower. And obviously, this also works for Bolt Beak, too. I didn't put Bolt Beak on the list. Bolt Beak is also now 80 base power. So your Hustle Dracozolt or your Sandwich Dracozolt. And obviously, the Arctozolt and Arctovish as well for that. That actually does hurt Arctozolt a bit when it comes to 6v6, because Arctozolt actually made Hail legitimate back in the day, back in Gen 8. This was before it was Snow, and actually it was way better as Snow, but it made Hail a legitimate threat back in the day. Finally, the most oppressive Pokemon on this list. Unfortunately, Game Freak, Pokemon, whatever you want to call it, they didn't realize its power and decided Triple Dive is too weak. Let's give it 5 more base power, capping it out at 105. I was about to say 135. Oh my gosh, it's late. 105, right? It goes from 90 to 105. 35, 35, 35. Good, okay? Is that going to help Wugtrio's usage? Absolutely not. If anything, you probably just hurt strategies that use a really weak move from Wugtrio to activate a weakness policy or activate stamina or whatever it is, but you can still use Surf, spread move Surf to activate, your little Colossal. Well, this guy probably isn't going to Surf. I think even 50 base power one might be a little bit too much, or 50 special attack might be a little bit too much for something like Colossal, but good. I think bad Pokemon should be buffed, and I think this is one of the ways to do it, so I'm glad. This doesn't really count as a bad Pokemon being buffed. This is actually one of the most, in 6v6 singles, this is one of the most, if not the most banned Pokemon of all time. I believe in Scarlet and Violet, it has been banned over 20 times. I am not lying to you. I just want you to know I am not lying to you. Here you go. And this was just from a year ago, the Great Oricoro Purge Gen 9, a timeline of 23 bans so far. Obviously, I'm not just talking about Pom Pom, I'm talking about all of them, but they have all been banned from lower tiers and unbanned and banned again and unbanned. And this all had to do with Terra. The fact that Terra changes Revelation Dance to match whatever you terrestrialize to is pretty cool. And its Revelation Dance actually got buffed from 90 base power to 100 base power. So that's cool. That's really cool. Is this Pokemon broken in a non-Terra metagame? Absolutely not. Is there some fun things you can do with it in VGC with like Lilligant and Volcarona and things like that? Absolutely. And I'm hoping to see things like that happen as we go forward. And I'm happy that it got 100 base power. In a non-Terra metagame, it is a very, very, very tame. It's too tame. All right. It needs to be wild. Let him out. This Oricoro needs to go crazy. So, yeah, I'm happy that it has 100 base power. Speaking of a buff I'm happy about, Hyper Drill, which is a move that bypasses Protect without breaking it. You ain't never used it on the Dunsparce, though. Maybe you might see one on, like, some random stats with this Pokemon. But it's now 120 base power. Good. Maybe it'll give people a reason to use it 100 attack instead of using it as, like, a makeshift Ursaluna in draft with Boom Burst and Calm Mind. Is this going to actually happen? Maybe not. The Hyper Drill is pretty cool, though, because it bypasses Protect, but it actually doesn't break it, so it doesn't let your teammate do it. But it being 120 base power, nice. Well-deserved. Good on the Dunsparce. Maybe we'll see some of the Dunsparce usage. It does have some of the greatest support of all time with, like, Glare and moves like that. And some of the greatest moves of all time, too. Look at all the status and everything like that. Delmise, I love Dhelmise. I am a huge fan of Dhelmise, and I didn't put Anchor Shot here for some reason, but Anchor Shot is a move that prevents you from switching out. Dhelmise is so cool because it's Steelworker. It basically has triple stab, which is one of the coolest things ever, right? Your Ghost, your Grass, and you have stab steal. I love it because of the 1.5 times attack. It's not actually, calculated in damage towards you, but it's still like your third stab, your third offensive stab. So Anchor Shot has been buffed from 80 to 90. This is going to be really cool for lower tiers. I'm talking about 656 OU in this case. I don't think this is much of a mon in VGC. I do think that it can do stuff in Battle Stadium. I've used it in things like that, but it having the ability to basically set up or hit hard and be a great choice band mon. 90 base power is a really nice spammable. It's good at choice band. It was good at swords dance. It was a great rapid spinner as well in lower tiers. I loved this Pokemon in lower tiers back when it was around in the game, and I'm happy that it is going to be better moving forward. Speaking of Pokemon, I'm happy they're going to be better. Gear Grind, Kling Klang. So Gear Grind, Kling Klang, this is the shift gear Pokemon, right? Raises speed 2 and 1, and it can do some sweeping, and this is your coverage. You're done. By the way, this is your coverage. This is your physical coverage. I hope you get something better when you come back. Like, give me Ice Spinner. Actually, I just made that up off the top of my head, but yeah, give me Ice Spinner. You're spinning. What? Yeah. Give me Bolt Beam. It's non-stab. It's still really good. Wait, yeah. Give me Ice Spinner. Anyway, Gear Grind's pretty cool because Gear Grind is terrible when it misses, right? You set up just to go for this terrible 50, 85. 50 is great. It's a 100 base power move, right? When you hit. And you only have to worry about the first accuracy check. But it's 85 accuracy. Now it's been buffed to 60 and 90. So it went from 100 base power to 120 base power, and now it is 90% accurate. Good. Again, very, very good. Give my homie a chance to thrive. Also, give shift gear to Metagross. That's a completely different thing. And I guess we don't need that on VGC Metagross, but come on, give my boy something. He's a pseudo legendary. I mean, he's still good. Y'all don't gotta worry about it because y'all got Mega Metagross in VGC, but still, give my boy something. I'm happy about this though. It's gonna be really cool when Z moves come back, and it's gonna be even stronger of a Z move when it lands. It was one of my favorite Z move mons with the Z Wild Charge. And going on, we have Dragon Hammer is now boosted from 90 to 100 base power. Nothing crazy about that, right? It just makes sense, especially because Dragon Claw is, first off, well, I guess you can't show it on this. Let me show it on an actual, you don't learn it either. Do any of these guys learn Dragon Claw just so I can show what its base power without having to click off it? Whatever, man. Dragon Claw's weak. Dragon Hammer sounds like it should be a lot stronger than Dragon Claw, and it really wasn't that much stronger than Dragon Claw. But now it is 100 in base power, which is pretty cool on a Alolan Executor. Other mons that learn it, you got your Raging Bolt right there. Not that anybody's running physical Raging Bolt, though people have in the past for fun and in draft leagues. But 100 base power, really nice. Coming off that 105 attack, can also Swords Dance and can do some fun stuff with Harvest. I've actually won a tournament game with this, not in VGC, but in 6v6, and with Endure, Swords Dance. This was basically a set: Swords Dance, Endure, Earthquake, and then you had your Custap Berry, and you have Harvest. Sorry about all the caps there. And then the idea behind it was that you have your Custap, which allows you to move first, and then you Endure, and you have a 50% chance outside of Sun to get, at the end of the turn, your Custap Berry back, so you can go for basically a faster move than your opponent if you get that back at the end of the turn. And obviously in Sun, you have a 100% chance to get that back. So a nice buff for Dragon Hammer, good for signature moves. And then another buff is that Inteleon actually got a buff. And I think this makes a lot of sense, especially because Cinderace and Rillaboom, the two other starters, are basically some of the greatest starters of all time, both in VGC Battle Stadium singles and in 6v6 singles. So an Inteleon doesn't really fit that role anymore. They also got rid of focus energy on this Pokemon, right? I have it right here, but it got rid of focus energy at a point, which sucked for not being able to throw off like some strong Snipe shots with it. But Snipe shot going from 80 base power to 85 base power is cool, especially when you eventually have your Sniper. This is going to help some crazy damage calcs as well. It's also going to help in a Dynamax metagame where eventually that will come back to in a Z-move metagame as well. So I'm happy about this buff. I think Inteleon deserves it. I wish Snipe Shot had the effects of its Gigantamax form, where it ignores the opponent's abilities and stuff. Like, I wish it had that regular effect so I could hit Pokemon Water Absorb with Snipe Shot, for instance. Basically be a water type that cannot be stopped by Pokemon like Storm Drain, Gastrodon, and things like that. Maybe that in the future, that'd be cool. But I think Inteleon definitely deserves this. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Please do. And check out the other day's video as well. I'll link that down below too if you want to see the other moves that were buffed. These are just like Pokemon that are not in the game, and obviously the other one I guess had Pokemon that were not in the game too, but I didn't see these at that time. And yeah, feel free to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.